Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Gyle here, and welcome back to the Forged Alliance Forever promotional series. I've got a ladder match for you guys and gals today, and no special messages or information to give out beforehand, so it's straight on with the action. It's going to take place on Theatre Passage 5, so let's head on over there and see how these guys are going to get on. Okay, so the more astute of you will immediately notice that this is just a snifter above Average Joe's. In case you guys aren't all familiar, Average Joe level, as far as I'm concerned, the cutoff point is basically the 1500 mark. If you're below it, you're a Joe. If you're above it, you're not necessarily a pro, but you're definitely in the upper half of the SupCom or FAF gaming community in terms of ranking. And you immediately notice, looking at the ranking, that they are identical in rank, which is quite extraordinary. I don't think I've ever had a ladder match where both players were on exactly the same rating, so at least on paper this should be a very close one. Anyway, taking a look at where they are located, up here at the top right we've got Orb, in the blue corner going UEF, opening first land, 2 P-gens, all very standard, and then getting the little waypoint there with his commander, cut down the building time, all very important as we've seen. First engineers off the rack, and this one, actually the very first one, is planned to come all the way out here and is going to stop at the top left hand corner. I like that a lot. You can imagine you grab these 2 mass points if you're lucky enough to do so, and you hide in the top corner there. There's not going to be much intel here, so you can get it. Maybe a hostile engineer coming in might grab those. Maybe you can cap or recycle that engineer if he's not paying attention and get those straight back. So that's a nice little tactic there. His opponent, meanwhile, down here at the bottom left in the red corner, going Cybrin, is going to be SynThiicQ. He's opening double land to start. So we've got a Cybrin UEF grudge match. I don't know what it is. It's something about the FAF. Every time I see one of these matchups, they always seem to get the colors right. It's almost like it's built into FAF. If it's going to be Cybrin and UEF, the Cybrin's going to go red and the UEF is going to go blue. But I'll have to ask Zep if that's actually the case, or I'm just imagining it, which is entirely plausible. But anyway, you love the spacing as well on these 3 power gens, a little bit of space between them, giving the assistance to both factories, but cutting down on the volatility in case any one of them goes kaflooey. And of course, Theatre Passage, no strangers here. The typical tactic is to move your ACU, if we were down here at the bottom, move your ACU out to the right and guard the front of your base with the majority of your spam. That's a typical type of play. And to that end, SynThiicQ has moved his ACU forward. He's assisted with the hydrocarbon. He's now going to go for a strut over to the right hand side. And those engineers around the edge are going to finish off. It looks like he's going 4th air. So that's the 3rd factory that's just gone down there. It's land. The next one's going to be air, and then 2 more land. All getting that all important adjacency bonus on the hydrocarbon. We're also seeing the first few units stream south from Orb, and also at the top the first bit of contact seems to be between a Mantis and an engineer. It's got a guarding striker. He's gone right into the mix. The engineer tries to get a cheeky little reclaim off but doesn't manage it, and the Mantis looked like it was going to escape, but he stops for a coffee break. That's a terrible decision and it cost him his life. Poor little Mantis. Meanwhile though, better odds down here. It seems 2 Mantis versus an engineer and a striker. That will win every time. Take out both of those UEF units. Feels like they could finish off this mass point as well. He'll be aware that something is coming for him. He's got the mole in the mix. So good anticipatory skills. Assumed that was probably the ACU and got moving to the right. Oh, loses both Mantis without managing to pick up that striker though. That's a little bit of a shame. Meanwhile, a couple more Mantis up the top working on mass points, but look how far forward Orb is with his ACU being incredibly aggressive. We've also got a PD going down in the middle and then stopped at half health. Obviously he needs that engineer for something else. He's moving over here with his commander. This looks like a very aggressive play indeed. Perhaps he's looking to get some kind of PD running right at the front of SynThiicQ's base, some kind of cheese. That's a metaphor for those of you that aren't too aware of StarCraft. I should probably stop using that immediately, lest I get some kind of StarCraft AIDS. Moving on, Orb now strutting forward, manages to pick up a mole. And the problem with this as well is you've got to be so careful. It's be all too easy for him to get mobbed by a stream of units. Remember, without overcharge, it takes just 15 to 20 odd T1 tanks for your opponent to get the better of you. Generally, it's how much an unupgraded ACU is worth. We'll take a look at what Orb is on. He's still running at 4,000 power max in the tank. He hasn't got that much power, but that's the most he can have, so he hasn't built any power storage, so overcharge not currently available. Needs to be slightly careful if he's going to be that ballsy with his ACU. Meanwhile, a nice little push happening here from some of SynThiicQ's. Mantis takes out an engineer and a mass point, and managing to push a little bit further forward as well. Takes out another mass point. There's a radar here, which is a very big target of opportunity. Just a couple of shots will do it, but he's not going to do it. That's annoying it to the max. If he could have taken that down, that's a lot of intel that Orb would have been without. But look how aggressive Orb is being. He's right in the mix, and he's got to be so careful here. He's getting a little bit swarmed with Mantis now all over the shop. They are pursuing him seriously. You can see the power storage just going down for Orb. I came over here to check if he had got it up in place. Maybe that's why he was being so aggressive, but he hasn't. And he's down to 7,000 hit points already. This could be a very early win for SynThiicQ indeed. Orb seems to be completely alone. His reinforcements are coming across from the right-hand side of the map, but it doesn't look too hopeful. He's down to around 5,000 hit points, still trying to retreat. But of course the ACU significantly slower than the Mantis that are pursuing it into the red. Gets a nice little rank up there as he passes 20 kills, but back into the red, immediately down below 2,000 HP. He's got a bunch of his strikers coming in to assist now, and unfortunately SynThiicQ moved his Mantis a little bit too far north. He's down to 900 hit points, still pursuing. Oh my god, this is, if he gets away with this, I swear to god. 500 hit points, I don't believe it. He turns up at exactly the right moment with low bows and strikers. SynThiicQ calls out Lucker in chat. I couldn't disagree with you there. That was incredibly lucky. Orb was very overextended indeed, and it nearly cost him the game right there. But for the moment, he is safe. I say safe as you can be when you are on fire and running for home, which he is. That is not a healthy looking ACU at all. Making his way back home. Oh my god. Take a minute to get my breath, but they won't allow it at all because Orb is making a little bit of a counter-offensive. Perhaps going to think better of it. There are bombers in the sky, but a nice little composition of unit mix there from Orb. He's got some archers in there. It's causing problems for that bomber, but he's going to push forward at the same time. SynThiicQ with his Mantis, which are definitely superior in number. That's a bunch of units going down for Orb, and it does look for the moment like that little exchange is going to cost Orb a lot of map control. Of course, he's not going to be able to use his ACU for some time now. He has to keep it safe. That's a seriously large tool that he's going to be without. No pun intended. Groups of strikers on the left-hand side cleared out that little forward base that went down for SynThiicQ initially. That land factory on the left-hand side. It's a little bit of a gap, and Orb has to keep his distance. He can't be too close. At least he has that all-important overcharge now. And just to be sure, he's built 2 energy storage to make certain of it. Doesn't want to get caught out like that again. But taking a look in terms of eco, he must be hurting slightly. SynThiicQ is ever so slightly bottlenecking on power, fluctuating between positive and negative usage. But he seems to be on around 36 mass. Orb seems to be on 26 to 28 mass. There or thereabouts, around 28 mass. Won't be too long before he gets back in the mix with this engineer, picking up these extra mass points. But a little bit of a run-by happening on the right-hand side. Getting a little bit of damage in. Not going to be able to do too much. He's going to have to retreat. But in the meantime, a large little standoff happening on the left-hand side simultaneously. That is encroaching on the strikers. And it seems that for the moment, SynThiicQ has a larger proportion of direct fire units in the mix. Orb has a nice unit composition, but he is definitely outnumbered in terms of land units on this side. And gradually Orb is going to have to funnel more units over to the left of the map. I'd like to see SynThiicQ build some more inties. He's got some nice bomber work going on but he's going to lose air control very quickly indeed, since Orb has switched into interceptors. But of course, now Orb moves to intercept. He looks like he could be vulnerable on the right-hand side again. Taking a look at what kind of intel he's got. Will he be able to see that? Yes, he has. He's got the intel station right back here. It gives him pretty ideal information. Good coverage for his location. Still using his ACU aggressively. Of course, he can get some kills on it. It's going to help him out, get those veterancy levels, get him back into the yellow. You can see he's just about edging into it now. Bumping that back up to +1. And once again, Orb is forced to retreat. Superior numbers coming in from SynThiicQ. It looks like he might possibly be going for a run by around the back, forcing Orb to move backwards to defend. SynThiicQ's actually working on some T2 PD. He's got some Cerberus turrets now to play with. So he's obviously got the T2 engineering suite on his commander, and that's going to give him some versatility on the battlefield. He can get a little bit of a point defense creep going and start to hem Orb back into his side of the map. And of course, Orb not able to take advantage of this side of the map at all. He has done that technique again. He's hidden that engineer in the corner, going to come straight out and recap that mass point. Cheeky little mare that he is, that engineer. So the longer this goes on, you feel like it begins to play into SynThiicQ's hands. However, Orb has started work on some T2. This could be crucial. A tech upgrade here could be nice. He could get a handle on this match and force his way back into it. But at the same time, it could cost him far too many resources. And there's a lot of spam coming out from SynThiicQ now. SynThiicQ doesn't look to be upgrading anything at the moment. So no, I tell a lie. He's already got T2 land, so it's an absolute must. It's a necessity for Orb to upgrade if he's going to keep up with this. 13 minutes into the game. The time is right, coming on to 14 minutes. But a nice little run by on the left-hand side, and mass points that Orb cannot afford to lose are going down left, right, and center. There's still one that's alive at the top. Could take that out quite easily. You sort of feel like he could get some more run-bys going on while these units are distracted. He's got a lot of redundant forces queuing up in the middle of the field. He could have sent these in at the same time, and he could have won this battle. That's mostly Lobos and Archers. There's only a handful of strikers in that mix. But you can't criticize SynThiicQ too much. He's definitely ahead in this game so far. And Orb is starting to produce some pillars. He's got some flapjacks on the field. That will give him some nice range, but he needs the direct fire for the moment. He needs to conquer this area first, and then he can think about outranging his opponent. Of course, he needs to watch out for SynThiicQ, who's got a couple of Cerberus turrets on the ground now. He can very easily start a point defense creep into the base of Orb, who really is running out of map very quickly indeed. The left side of his portion of the map is teeming with Cybran engineers. All of that reclaim going into SynThiicQ's pockets. That mass point at the top finally going to go down. We've actually got some Cybran wall sections, it looks like, queuing up here. So SynThiicQ looking to hem Orb into his base. Doesn't want anything coming out of this aperture. It's going to be a long shot if Orb can get back into this match. I don't see any way he's going to be able to do it. Look at the air control that has been seeded. SynThiicQ has managed to get back on top of it, although he doesn't want to be handing there at all, especially not with all that mobile anti-air in the area. Now a nice little engagement. We've got some rhinos in the mix, but significantly more pillars on the field now for Orb. And he doesn't want to group up his Mantis like that. He's far too much AoE in the area in the form of Flapjacks and Lobos. And SynThiicQ needs to be careful, does not want to walk his ACU into that at all. Needs to get his big red butt out of there. Wait for some reinforcements which are now en route. And that little plan to block Orb in has been unsuccessful. Orb looking a lot healthier on 73 kills and up over 13,500 hit points. Doing a lot better. Hoplites now trying to outrange some of Orb's units, but there are triads on the ground now. So many Mantis, not presenting the broadest face to the enemy either, which is not ideal. T2 factory from Orb still producing pillars. So what he needs to do is group up as many of those direct fire T2s, and that's a horrible decision with those interceptors. He's just gifted them away by flying directly over the top of these skyboxers and archers. There's definitely a lot of Mantis on the field. But still, Orb for the moment is holding strong as we come up towards the 20-minute mark in this game. Nice little bit of exchange between the Vipers and Flapjacks. Vipers working on the Triads, Flapjacks working on the Vipers. So much red on the field. Another little attempt to get into the back of Orb's base through that rear aperture. But there's too many pillars in that mix. I think that's going to have too much success. Another little bunch of reinforcements coming in the front to try and link up. Orb is sitting there. He's on an upgrade. See what that's going to be in just a second. Still, SynThiicQ's unable to get a handle on this game, unable to break Orb, and he's definitely, you see that massive gun on that commander now, so it's another little bit of damage from Orb. Lovely little overcharge there, just taking out 3 engineers on reclaiming duty. Just talking about being efficient and forthright in your career. I don't think that's what they meant when that reclaiming job. And still the game continues. We passed the 20-minute mark. I'm so surprised SynThiicQ is still unable to break Orb. Seems like Orb is progressing into full UEF turtle mode. It's not too surprising. It's finding it very difficult for the moment to break out, although he's having a go at it on the left-hand side. There's actually very little on this side of the map now. He feels like he's got enough static D to hold these forces at bay. He can afford to spend these units grabbing back control on the left side of the map. There's actually a lot of T2 units, and the reinforcing units coming in from SynThiicQ are all Mantis and Medusa. It's all T1, and it's now being backed up by Orb's ACU's got overcharge. He's got the gun upgrade. I don't believe it. Could Orb actually get back into this match? That could be extraordinary. Just don't know. It's too close to call. Pillars definitely cutting swathes through this group of Mantis over on the left-hand side. Again, SynThiicQ flying all of his interceptors rather ill-advisedly over the top of the main base, and just don't really see the point of that right now. However, the majority of skyboxers have either gone pop, or I guess they're over here. There's just a couple of them in this group on the left-hand side, so he's lucky there weren't any in there. Otherwise, he wouldn't have any of these left, I don't think. Orb catches up with a group of landed interceptors, but this time they are straying very close to that pack. That's a bad place to hang a left turn, and they all get shot down. Oh no, just one left. And Look at the front of this base. SynThiicQ says, I don't like you. I don't blame him. This must be agony at this point. Feeling like he should have had this in the bag. And now he's under long-range bombardment. Orb's got some shielding in place. He's got attack missile defense. He's got triads. And still not looking like there's going to be any progress forward for SynThiicQ. Now he's slowly losing units to flapjack fire, and his Viper fire is having no effect at all with all of the buzz kills and the shielding that's going on at the front of that base. Orb still using his very healthy looking ACU to great effect. Gonna march forward and pop these units. Finally, that group of units from Orb looks a little bit outnumbered in the middle. Still not enough T2. I'd love to see more T2 on the ground for SynThiicQ. He is producing rhinos out of this factory. You could do with getting another factory over on this left-hand side up to T2, producing more units out of it. And we're actually on an upgrade here for Orb. He's going for T3 now. As if he wasn't already strong enough on the ground on tech, he's gonna grab T3, we have access to Titans, and then the spam of SynThiicQ really will be redundant. Producers trying their best with the Mantis to make their way in, force an opening, pushed a little bit too far up the map. They are joined with reinforcements coming in from the center. Now it's Orb once again being forced backwards into his base. This game is so back and forth, it's unreal. But the first Titans are about to be deployed onto the field. A couple of those, and groups like this will vanish in a puff of vapor. Once again, this piece of land at the top left that's changed hands so many times in this game. Once again, losing mass points. Now we can see that first Titan in play. And this will be quite a shock to SynThiicQ. He'll suddenly be aware that he's out-teched. Will he be upgrading anywhere else? I'd tell a lie, he has got T2 and this rear factory. He must have had that all along, and he's already producing loyalists out of this. So actually, SynThiicQ has been matching tech quite nicely. Hasn't got anything on the field to date, but that looks to be the second loyalist that's in play. Needs to get those up with the bunch. He actually could do worse than starting to produce bricks to counter those Titans. They're the real threat now. More Titans rolling off the pad. Nice little attempt there from Orb to force back SynThiicQ on the right-hand side. Very big targets of opportunity down here. 3 T2 power generators close to each other. If you get a few units in there, it could really cause SynThiicQ some trouble. Look how little these Titans care about that group of Mantis, just chasing them down. Oh, 1 or 2 loyalists in there who really need to be working on them. See the first volley going off. Nice bit of micro from Orb trying to keep that rear Titan alive. Shields a tremendous advantage. I don't see why the Titan needs a buff. I know it was one of the proposals for the new balance testing mod. I'm not certain how well it's going over. Gradually, the loyalists getting focused down. Let's take out the rhinos second. Still loyalists though, not seeing any bricks. Want to see more bricks on the field. It's going to be predominantly what Orb is producing now on, and Orb needs to be slightly careful. He's got his commander out in the middle, but it's just not large enough group of units from SynThiicQ to deal any realistic damage. It's where you need to be careful though with your ACU. He's been out in the field all game, and suddenly there's T3 everywhere, and they can make a real mess of you very quickly indeed. And we've got attack missiles coming across the field from a little battery down here to the east. SynThiicQ changing up direction. Love that play. And of course, Buzzkill's completely ineffectual against the Cyber and attack missiles. Split into 3 after the first volley and just go ahead and kill the target anyway. Titans very numerous now on the field for Orb. Orb must finally be feeling like he's getting some kind of a handle on this game. Loyalists go down one after another. There's some gunships in place, some renegades for SynThiicQ, but they're not lasting too long because of the skyboxes that are in the mix. It's too close to call who's going to win this little exchange. It seems like there's more initial units in play for Orb. There are some renegades. The diversity of technology is slightly better for SynThiicQ. However, Orb has got his ACU in the mix. He's going to be overcharging all over the place, and that has given him a nice advantage. He's managed to hold on with his group of units. Of course, he's very close to the main production facilities, and he's not got a lot of support. He needs to be careful. You can't be this ballsy with T3 with your ACU, because it can turn so quickly. He's about to run out of units, and now, of course, SynThiicQ senses that Orb could be overextending. He's moving in from the right. We've just passed the 30-minute mark in this game. Large groups of loyalists, if he spreads them out nicely, he's going to reduce any potential harm from the overcharge. And now hordes of Mantis focusing on the commander. Loyalists getting in around the back of him. Orb is going to be shedding hit points at a rate of knots, down to 11,000 HP. He's going to be overcharging. Beautiful overcharge there. Takes care of 3 loyalists. He's coming in with his own units to try and thin out the crowds, but I don't think he's going to manage it. Down below 4,000 HP. He's got caught up on his own Titans that have been coming in for support, but he's just not going to manage it. Surely not again. 1,700, 400, 300. Boom! Unlucky. That's a good effort though. What a turnaround. Crap GG. Yes indeed. It's obviously a slight failing of Orb at the moment. It's one of the toughest things in this game, knowing when to move forward with your ACU and when to back off. If you're not aggressive with your ACU, you will lose every time. If you're over aggressive, you will lose every time, and it is so much about the balance. It's unreal. Wow. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed that. I'm thoroughly out of breath. That's probably going to be it from me for the week, but I promise you there will be more to come on Monday. So as always, guys, stay well and stay safe. I will see you very soon. This is Gyle signing out.